The automatic doors slid open with their familiar whoosh as I stepped into Greenfield Market, my reusable bags tucked under my arm. It was just after 9 in the morning on a Tuesday, the quiet time when most sensible people were at work. I'd recently sold my tech consulting firm and was enjoying a more flexible schedule, which meant I could finally shop when the store wasn't packed. I grabbed a cart and headed toward the produce section, mentally running through my list for tonight's dinner party. That's when I first encountered her. She stood in front of the organic lettuce display, a woman probably in her late 50s with an aggressively blonde bob haircut that looked like it hadn't moved since 1995. She wore a velour tracksuit the color of artificial grape flavoring and had positioned her cart at a perfect diagonal across the entire produce aisle. Not just blocking one side, mind you, but creating a barrier that made it physically impossible for anyone to pass without asking her to move. "Excuse me, could I just squeeze by?" The woman turned slowly, as if I'd interrupted her performing open-heart surgery rather than squeezing an avocado. Her eyes, magnified behind rhinestone-studded glasses, narrowed as they traveled from my shoes to my face in a deliberate assessment. "I was here first," she said, her voice dripping with the kind of entitlement usually reserved for people announcing their royal lineage. "You'll have to wait until I'm finished with this section." I blinked, certain I'd misheard. But no, she turned back to the lettuce, picking up each head, examining it like a jeweler inspecting diamonds, and setting it back down with theatrical dissatisfaction. She wasn't shopping. She was performing. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Karen Eat World for more tales of entitled encounters and the sweet taste of justice. Trust me, you won't want to miss where this one goes. I took a breath and smiled. "No problem, I'll just come back." I steered my cart toward the bakery section instead, deciding to adjust my shopping route. Life was too short to argue over lettuce access. Besides, I had a meeting with my financial advisor later and wanted to get home with enough time to review some property investment opportunities he'd sent over. 20 minutes later, I was in the cereal aisle when I heard her before I saw her. "Excuse me. Excuse me." The voice cut through the quiet store like a car alarm. "This is unacceptable." I peered around the corner. Grape tracksuit Karen was at the customer service counter, jabbing her finger at a young employee who couldn't have been more than 19. The kid's name tag read Miguel and his face had that carefully blank expression that retail workers develop when dealing with difficult customers. I specifically asked for my deli meat to be sliced at setting 2, and this is clearly a setting 3 slice. Do you people not understand basic instructions? I want to speak to the manager. Now. The handful of other customers in the store had all stopped to watch. Miguel maintained his composure admirably. "Ma'am, I can definitely get the manager for you, but I did slice it at setting 2 like you asked. If you'd like it thinner, I'm happy to. Don't you dare tell me what I saw. I have been shopping at this store for 15 years. 15 years. I know the difference between setting 2 and setting 3, young man." The manager, a tired-looking woman named Donna according to her badge, appeared from the back office. What followed was a 10-minute performance that should have earned Karen an Academy Award nomination. She demanded the deli meat be resliced, wanted it done by someone else, insisted on a discount for her emotional distress, and threatened to report the store to corporate for their incompetence. I felt genuinely sorry for Donna and Miguel as I moved along to finish my shopping. Over the next 3 weeks, I saw Karen 7 more times at Greenfield Market. Each visit followed the same pattern. She'd block entire aisles with her cart, examine products with antagonizing slowness when anyone needed to pass, and inevitably end up in a confrontation with staff or other customers. She demanded a manager because the bananas were too yellow. She berated a stock clerk for shelving items too high for her to reach comfortably. She insisted a cashier had given her a dirty look, which required a formal apology. The woman had apparently decided that Greenfield Market was her personal kingdom, and everyone else was just a peasant passing through. I kept my distance and my peace. I'd dealt with enough difficult people during my years in tech consulting to know that engaging with someone like this was pointless. Besides, I'd recently closed on a commercial property investment downtown and was busy coordinating renovations. Life was good. Karen was just background noise, an irritating but avoidable fixture of Tuesday morning shopping. Then came the Tuesday that changed everything. I was reaching for a carton of oat milk when I heard the crash, followed by crying. I turned to see a young mother, probably mid-20s, crouched on the floor next to a shattered jar of pasta sauce. A little girl, maybe 3 years old, was wailing in her arms. The kid's hands were covered in sauce, and glass shards glittered on the tile around them. Before the mother could even stand up, Karen was there, looming over them like a velour-clad vulture. Oh, for heaven's sake! This is exactly why children shouldn't be allowed in grocery stores. Look at this mess. Look at it. The young mother's face flushed red. I'm so sorry, she just grabbed it before I could stop her. I'll pay for it, I'll clean it up, You'll pay for it? You think that's enough? I could have slipped on this. I could have broken my hip. You should be cited for negligent supervision. The little girl's crying intensified. The mother looked on the verge of tears herself as she tried to comfort her daughter while simultaneously picking up glass shards with her bare hands, a dangerous combination of panic and humiliation. Stop touching the glass, you'll cut yourself worse. Karen shrieked. Someone call security. This woman is creating a hazard. Something in me snapped. I walked over calmly, placing my cart as a barrier between Karen and the mother. The store employees will handle the cleanup. Ma'am, I addressed the young mother, why don't you take your daughter to the bathroom and get her hands washed? It's going to be fine. Karen's attention swiveled to me like a heat-seeking missile finding its target. Excuse me, this is none of your concern. I'm a long-time customer of this store and you're harassing a mother and a frightened child over an accident. My voice was level but firm. So I'm making it my concern. Please step back. Karen's face transformed into a mask of pure rage, her cheeks mottling red beneath her foundation. How dare you? Who do you think you are? I shop here every single week. This is my store. You don't get to tell me what to do. Actually, this is a public business, which means you have no more claim to it than anyone else. Now if you'll excuse me. I turned my attention back to the mother, who was staring at me with wide, grateful eyes. That's when Karen made her move. She grabbed my arm, her acrylic nails digging into my skin. You don't walk away from me when I'm talking to you. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then up at her face. Remove your hand. Now. Or what? What are you going to do about it, you uppity little? Donna the manager appeared, slightly out of breath, with Miguel and another employee close behind. Ma'am, I need you to let go of her arm right now. Karen released me but immediately pivoted to Donna. This woman attacked me. I want her banned from this store. I'm calling the police. Ma'am, we have cameras, Donna said wearily. We can all see exactly what happened. What followed was a 45-minute extravaganza of threats, demands, and theatrical outrage. Karen insisted she was being discriminated against as a senior citizen, a valued customer, and a taxpayer. She demanded I be arrested for assault. She insisted the mother be banned for child endangerment. She threatened lawsuits against the store, the parent company, and probably the manufacturers of pasta sauce for making jars that could break. Eventually, she stormed out, promising that everyone would regret treating her this way. I assumed that was the end of it. I gave my contact information to Donna in case she needed a witness statement, checked on the mother and child, who were shaken but fine, and finished my shopping. I even switched to Thursday mornings for the next few weeks, hoping to avoid future Karen encounters. But Karen, as it turned out, was just getting started. 3 weeks later, I was back to Tuesday mornings because of a schedule change with my gym classes. I'd barely made it past the shopping carts when Miguel approached me, looking nervous. Hey, just a heads up. That lady, the one from before? She's been asking about you. Like, a lot. She wanted to know your name, if you work around here, what days you shop. It's kind of creepy. A cold feeling settled in my stomach. What did you tell her? Nothing. We're not allowed to give out customer information anyway. But she's been coming in every day, different times, like she's looking for you. Donna's already had to talk to her twice about bothering employees with questions about other customers. I thanked Miguel and continued my shopping, hyper-aware of my surroundings. Sure enough, about 20 minutes in, I spotted her. Karen was at the end of the pasta aisle, not shopping, just watching me with an expression of triumphant malice. I ignored her, finished gathering what I needed, and headed to checkout. She followed at a distance, not approaching but maintaining visual contact like a shark circling prey. As I loaded my groceries into my car, I saw her standing at the store entrance, phone out, appearing to take photos. Of me. Of my car. Of my license plate. This had officially crossed from annoying to concerning. Over the next 2 months, Karen became my personal stalker. She somehow figured out my rough shopping schedule and was there almost every time I visited Greenfield Market. She wouldn't directly confront me after that first incident, probably because Donna had threatened to ban her, but she'd follow me through the store at a distance, making loud comments to other shoppers. Some people think they're better than everyone else. Some people think the rules don't apply to them. Some people assault senior citizens and get away with it because the world doesn't care about older women anymore. She'd position her cart to block me, then refuse to move, forcing me to abandon aisles entirely. She'd get in whatever checkout line I chose, then create a scene with the cashier, making everyone wait. She'd accidentally bump into me reaching for items. I tried switching stores, but Greenfield Market was the only grocery within reasonable distance that carried the specialty items I needed for my dietary restrictions. I could have driven 30 minutes to the next closest option, but the principle of it galled me. Why should I have to rearrange my life because of one unhinged woman? I spoke to Donna multiple times. She was sympathetic but helpless. Karen technically wasn't doing anything they could ban her for. She wasn't threatening me directly, wasn't causing property damage, wasn't violent. Being an obnoxious stalker wasn't against store policy. I even filed a police report, but without explicit threats or physical contact, there was little they could do. The officer who took my statement was kind but realistic. We can document this, and if she escalates, you'll have a paper trail for a restraining order. But what you're describing, it's not illegal. It's just someone being a jerk in a public place. Then Karen found out where I lived. I came home one afternoon to find a note on my door, typed and printed, not handwritten. The message was vague but unsettling. People who interfere in things that don't concern them should remember that everyone's life has private details they'd prefer stayed private. It would be a shame if your neighbors knew what kind of person you really are. There was nothing actionable, nothing I could take to police as evidence of a crime. Just a veiled threat, a promise of future harassment. That night, I sat in my home office, looking at the note under my desk lamp, and made a decision. I'd tried being reasonable. I'd tried ignoring her. I'd tried official channels. None of it had worked because Karen operated in the gray areas, the spaces where behavior is terrible but not quite illegal. Fine. If she wanted to play in the gray areas, I could do that too. But I had resources she probably hadn't considered. I opened my laptop and started researching. Greenfield Market, it turned out, was part of a regional chain owned by a larger grocery consortium. That consortium was owned by an investment group. That investment group had recently been exploring selling off underperforming assets to streamline their portfolio. I knew this because my financial advisor had actually sent me the prospectus weeks ago, suggesting I might want to invest in the acquisition company. I'd ignored it at the time. I already had commercial real estate investments. Getting into grocery retail seemed like more headache than it was worth. But now, I pulled up that prospectus again and read it with new interest. Greenfield Market wasn't underperforming exactly, but it was in a category the investment group considered non-essential to their core holdings. The property itself was worth more than the business, situated as it was in an increasingly upscale neighborhood where the land value had tripled in the past 5 years. Several developers had apparently already made offers to buy the location and convert it to mixed-use development. The investment group was entertaining offers. They'd made that clear in the prospectus. I picked up my phone and called my financial advisor. "James, remember that grocery chain acquisition you sent me information about? I want to make an offer. Not through a consortium, just me. And I want to move fast." James, to his credit, barely hesitated. We'd worked together for 8 years. He knew I didn't make impulsive decisions. "Which location are you interested in?" "The Greenfield Market location on Oak Street. I want to buy the property and the business as a package, but my primary interest is the real estate. I'm planning to close the grocery operations. That's going to be expensive for what's essentially a revenge eviction of one annoying customer," James said dryly. He knew about my Karen situation. I'd vented about it during our last meeting. "It's not revenge. It's a legitimate real estate investment. The property value alone justifies the purchase, and the neighborhood demographics support mixed-use development. The fact that it solves a personal problem is just a bonus. If you're serious, I can have preliminary numbers to you by tomorrow morning. But we're talking at least 3.5 to 4 million for the property and business together." "I'm serious. Get me those numbers." I hung up and allowed myself a small smile. Was this overkill? Absolutely. Was it financially sound? According to the prospectus and my own research, actually yes. The property was undervalued, and the neighborhood was gentrifying rapidly. In 5 years, I could either operate a profitable business or sell at significant profit. Was it petty? Incredibly so. Did I care? Not even a little bit. Over the next 6 weeks, I worked with James, a real estate attorney, and a business acquisition specialist to structure an offer. We moved quietly, using an LLC I'd established for property investments to keep my name off the initial paperwork. The investment group was thrilled to have a serious buyer willing to pay cash and close quickly. There were inspections, appraisals, negotiations over price. The investment group wanted to keep it quiet until the deal closed to avoid worrying employees and customers prematurely. That suited me perfectly. During those 6 weeks, Karen continued her campaign of petty harassment. She'd somehow gotten more aggressive, perhaps sensing that her behavior wasn't driving me away and escalating to compensate. She'd started making complaints to the store about me specifically, claiming I was following her, harassing her, making her feel unsafe. Donna called me in exasperation after the 3rd such complaint. "I know it's not true. The cameras show she's following you, not the other way around. But I have to document her complaints." "I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry. Document everything. In fact, I'd like copies of all complaints she's filed, about me and about anyone else, for the past year." "Is that something you can provide?" Donna hesitated. "That's not really protocol." "I understand. But I think there may be legal issues developing here, and having documentation of a pattern of behavior could be important. I'm not asking you to do anything that would get you in trouble, but if corporate policy allows you to provide that information, I'd appreciate it." She said she'd check with her district manager. 2 weeks later, I had a folder with copies of 47 separate complaint forms Karen had filed over the past 14 months. 47. Everything from "cashier made eye contact wrong" to "another customer's child was breathing too loudly." The woman had filed nearly 1 complaint per week for over a year. I added the folder to my growing Karen file, which also included my police report, photos she'd taken of me that other customers had witnessed, copies of her following behavior caught on my phone's camera, and the threatening note from my door. Finally, on a Tuesday morning in late October, I got the call from James. "We closed this morning. Congratulations, you own a grocery store." "Excellent. Initiate Phase 2. Phase 2 was already planned. I'd hired a commercial property management company that specialized in business closures and transitions. They had experience with everything from bankruptcy liquidations to planned shutdowns. Professional, efficient, and discreet. I'd also hired an excellent employment law attorney to ensure we handled the employee situation properly. Every Greenfield Market employee would receive 2 months severance, continuation of health insurance for 3 months, and career counseling services. I wasn't interested in hurting people who'd done nothing wrong. Miguel and Donna and everyone else who'd had to deal with Karen's behavior, they'd be taken care of. The store itself would close in 30 days, giving customers time to adjust and employees time to find new positions. After that, the property would undergo renovation for its new purpose, a mixed-use development with retail space on the ground floor and condominiums above, a project I'd already hired architects to design. But all of that would start with one very specific notification. The following Tuesday morning, I walked into Greenfield Market at my usual time. I'd had the management company hold off on announcing the closure until after I'd made one final shopping trip. Karen was there, of course. She'd been there every Tuesday for months, waiting for me like a spider in a web. I did my shopping normally, ignoring her presence as she followed at her usual stalking distance. When I had everything I needed, I approached the checkout lanes. Donna was there, looking nervous but excited. She knew what was coming. I'd briefed her yesterday, and she'd actually hugged me, tears in her eyes. On behalf of every retail worker who's ever dealt with her, thank you. I checked out, paid for my groceries, and then turned to find Karen standing right behind me in line, glaring. Must be nice, she said loudly, to just waltz around like you own the place. I smiled at her, a genuine smile that probably looked slightly unhinged given the circumstances. Funny you should mention that. Then I walked to the customer service counter, where the store manager and the district manager were waiting with a stack of papers. The property management company had sent their transition team, professional-looking people with tablets and serious expressions. The district manager cleared his throat and began reading from a prepared statement, his voice carrying through the relatively quiet store. Attention Greenfield Market customers and staff. We want to inform you that the Greenfield Market location has been sold to a private investor. The store will be closing permanently in 30 days to allow for property redevelopment. We apologize for any inconvenience. I watched Karen's face as understanding slowly dawned. Her eyes moved from the district manager to the transition team to me, standing there with my arms crossed, still smiling. What does this mean? Her voice had lost its usual aggressive confidence. Donna, bless her, couldn't resist. It means the store is closing, Karen. Permanently. The new owner is shutting down the grocery operations to redevelop the property. Karen's face cycled through confusion, disbelief, and then rage as she put the pieces together. This is discrimination. You can't close an entire store just because. Actually, I said pleasantly, stepping forward, a property owner can close a business for any legal reason. Redevelopment is completely legal. In fact, it's good business. This property is worth significantly more as mixed-use residential and retail than as a single-purpose grocery store. The return on investment should be substantial over the next 5 to 10 years. Her mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Oh, and Karen? I pulled out my phone and opened the voice memo app. I should mention that in addition to the closure, the property management company will be enforcing new policies during the final 30 days of operation. Any customer who has filed more than 5 complaints in the past year will be required to sign a behavioral agreement to continue shopping here. Failure to comply will result in a permanent ban that will carry over to any future business operated on this property. Given that you've filed 47 complaints, I think we both know how that's going to go. I hit play on a pre-recorded statement from the property management company's attorney, explaining exactly that policy in legal terms, including specific mention of harassment, stalking behavior, and threatening conduct toward other customers. Karen's face had gone from red to white to a mottled purple that couldn't possibly be healthy. You bought an entire grocery store, just to ban me? I bought an undervalued commercial property with excellent redevelopment potential in an appreciating neighborhood, I corrected. The fact that it solves my Karen problem is just a very satisfying bonus. Oh, and one more thing. I pulled out a formal-looking document and handed it to her. This is a notice from my attorney. Given your months of stalking, harassment, and the threatening note you left at my home, we're prepared to file for a restraining order if you continue any form of contact. The police reports, witness statements, and security footage provide more than enough evidence. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave this store right now. You're going to find somewhere else to shop. And you're going to stay at least 100 yards away from me at all times. If you don't, my attorney has instructions to pursue both criminal and civil remedies. Karen stood frozen, the document trembling in her hands, her mouth still working soundlessly as the full scope of what I'd done settled over her like a collapsing building. Every employee in the store was watching. Several customers had stopped to stare. Miguel was filming on his phone, probably for evidence but maybe just for entertainment. Karen's eyes, still magnified behind those rhinestone glasses, were wide with the kind of shocked disbelief that comes from realizing you've been completely, utterly, and perfectly outmaneuvered. That the person you'd spent months tormenting hadn't just fought back, they'd eliminated the entire battlefield. She'd wanted to make a grocery store her personal kingdom. So I'd bought her kingdom and evicted her from it. Her hands were shaking now, the legal notice fluttering like a trapped bird as her brain tried to process that someone had actually spent millions of dollars just to ensure she could never bother them again. And if you enjoyed this epic tale of petty revenge on a grand scale, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to Karen Eat World. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another story of entitled people getting exactly what they deserve. Trust me, there are plenty more where this came from.